Version 7.1 is shaping up to be one of the biggest updates of the early Snezhnaya era. And if you've been watching Celestia Tales, you've probably already heard me talk about some of these things. But now, we have more information to put everything together. So today, we're going through everything important coming in version 7.1. We'll talk about Vesna, Vodyanitsa, the current rerun information, the anniversary rewards, the free weapon, the limited 5-star rumor, new content, the estimated Primogem count, and most importantly, how you should actually save your Primogems. Because if you're saving for someone like the Tsaritsa, 7.1 could be a very tempting patch. Just remember that some information we're discussing comes from current beta and unofficial sources, so things can still change before release. Let's get started. Let's start with the basics. Version 7.1 is currently expected to release around September 23rd, following the usual 6-week update cycle. And the timing is especially important because the 6th anniversary falls during version 7.1. That's one of the main reasons this update is expected to be so generous. We've already covered the full Primogem calculation in another video, so I won't go through every single source again. The current estimate is around 11,065 Primogems plus 22 intertwined fates for free-to-play players. That's roughly 91 pulls. Welkin players could reach around 114 pulls, while Welkin Plus Battle Pass could reach around 123 pulls. Of course, these are still estimates. The final amount can change depending on events, quests, and other rewards. But even around 90 pulls is a pretty good amount for one update. The problem is that 7.1 also gives us plenty of characters to spend those wishes on. And that's where things get interesting. First, we have Vesna. Vesna is currently expected to be one of the 2 new 5-star characters in version 7.1. She's an Anemo character heavily connected to the new Stellar Swirl reaction system. Her gameplay appears to focus on staying on the field, building resources, and entering a stronger state to deal damage. So she could become one of the main characters showcasing what this new Snezhnaya reaction system can actually do. And personally, that's what interests me most about Vesna. I'm not just looking at whether she's going to have big damage numbers. I'm more interested in whether Stellar Swirl is actually going to be a fun and useful reaction to build teams around. Because if Vesna depends heavily on this system, her long-term value could also depend on future Snezhnaya characters. So, if you're thinking about pulling Vesna, I wouldn't ask only, is she strong? I'd also ask, do I actually like this playstyle? Because a character can be extremely strong and still not be worth pulling for your account if you don't enjoy using them. Then we have Vodyanitsa. She's currently expected to be a 5-star Hydro support, with healing, buffs, and other forms of team utility. And honestly, I think Vodyanitsa could potentially have better long-term account value than Vesna. The reason is simple. A DPS character can eventually be replaced, but a really strong support can remain useful across multiple teams. Her current information also includes a unique stack or quill-style mechanic that can increase the damage of other characters. However, there's one thing I'm watching very closely. Some current information suggests that certain parts of her kit don't interact particularly well with Stellar Swirl. And that's interesting because Stellar Swirl appears to be one of the major reaction systems being introduced during the Snezhnaya era. So personally, Vodyanitsa is a wait-and-see character for me. If her interaction with the new reaction system improves during beta, I could become much more interested in her. But if those limitations remain, I wouldn't recommend pulling her simply because she's a new 5-star support. Now, let's talk about the reruns. According to the latest information we're seeing, Skirk and Escoffier are currently being reported as the version 7.1 reruns. And honestly, this pairing makes quite a bit of sense. The current 7.1 Abyss information appears to favor cryo-focused teams, which fits both characters quite well. Skirk is obviously one of the major cryo DPS characters, while Escoffier is strongly connected to cryo and freeze-oriented teams. Personally, Skirk is the rerun I'd be watching most closely. If you skipped her previously and really wanted her, 7.1 could be a great opportunity. But there's still an important disclaimer. These are unofficial reports, not an official banner announcement. So I wouldn't call Skirk and Escoffier 100% confirmed until Hoyoverse officially reveals the banners. For now, though, This is the rerun information I'd be keeping an eye on. And that makes the pull decision even harder. You're potentially choosing between Vesna, Vodyanitsa, Skirk, Escoffier, or you could just save everything. Now, let's get to one of the biggest reasons version 7.1 is getting so much attention. The 6th anniversary. The current expected anniversary rewards include 1,600 Primogems and 10 intertwined fates. That's effectively 20 wishes from the anniversary rewards alone. And that's before counting the rest of the patch. We're also expecting a standard 5-star selector, which could allow players to choose a character from the standard pool. Personally, I think this is a really good reward, especially for newer players. There are plenty of standard characters that players may have wanted for a long time, but simply haven't been lucky enough to get. So being able to directly choose one could be extremely useful. And even if you don't want either of the new 5 stars, the anniversary itself gives you a good reason to play through version 7.1. But now we have to talk about the rumor that has probably caught the most attention. We've already discussed this in one of our previous videos. There's a rumor that the anniversary could potentially allow players to select an older limited 5-star character. And some versions of this rumor go even further, claiming that the selected character's signature 5-star weapon could also be included. If this actually happens, it would be absolutely massive. Imagine being able to choose an older limited character you've wanted for years, and potentially getting their signature weapon as well. That could completely change how people plan their Primogems. But I want to make this extremely clear. I am not treating this as confirmed. The standard 5-star selector is a much more believable expectation. The limited 5-star selector is still a rumor. And getting both the character and their signature weapon is an even bigger rumor. Personally, I wouldn't change my entire pull plan because of this. If Hoyoverse officially announces it, that's amazing. But until then, I would rather plan my account around rewards we actually expect to receive. So don't skip a character you genuinely want just because you think this rumor is guaranteed. We're also expecting a free event weapon during version 7.1. Current information suggests that it could work particularly well with the new reaction-focused gameplay. And if it remains a strong option for Vesna, that's great news for players who don't want to spend additional Primogems on her signature weapon. Personally, I always like when Genshin gives players a free weapon that actually has a purpose. Not everyone is going to spend another 70 or 80 wishes trying to get a signature weapon. So having a useful free alternative can be a huge advantage for free-to-play players. And 7.1 isn't just about the characters. We're also expecting several events, anniversary content, story content, character quests, and updates to endgame content such as Spiral Abyss and Imaginarium Theater. There should also be new enemies and bosses. So even if you're skipping the banners, there's still plenty to do during this update. Now, let's talk about something I think is even more important than the total Primogem count. How should you actually save your Primogems? Because version 7.1 has way too many tempting characters. You could potentially have Vesna, Vodyanitsa, Skirk, and Escoffier all competing for your wishes. And then we have characters coming later in Snezhnaya, including the Tsaritsa. So the first thing you should do is decide on your #1 priority. If Skirk is the character you've been waiting for, save for Skirk first. If you really want Vesna, make her your priority. If you're more interested in Vodyanitsa because of her support potential, save for her instead. And if the Tsaritsa is your absolute priority, I'd recommend being even more careful. For example, if you have 90 pulls saved, don't think, I have 90 pulls, so I can spend 90. Instead, decide how many pulls you want to keep for your future character. You can spend some of your extra Primogems on someone you genuinely want while keeping the rest untouched. I'd also recommend keeping a Primogem reserve specifically for your most important future character, because Snezhnaya is still just getting started. We have Mitya, Valerie, the Tsaritsa, and plenty of other characters coming later. And there's also the anniversary rumor we've talked about. If that limited 5-star selector somehow becomes real, having Primogems saved gives you even more flexibility. But until that rumor is confirmed, don't save based on the assumption that it's guaranteed. So my advice is simple. Pick your priority. Set aside enough wishes for them. Then decide what you're comfortable spending with whatever remains. And most importantly, Don't pull just because you have enough Primogems. Sometimes the best pull is the one you don't make. So what would I personally do? I'd wait for the beta to develop a little more before making my final decision. For Vesna, I'd want to see how Stellar Swirl actually performs. For Vodyanitsa, I'd watch whether her interaction with the new reaction system improves. If Skirk really reruns, I'd seriously consider her if I had skipped her before and wanted a strong cryo DPS. Escoffier would depend on whether I actually needed her for my teams. But if the Tsaritsa were my absolute #1 character, I'd probably skip at least one of these banners and possibly all of them. Not because these characters are bad. Simply because I don't want to spend everything in 7.1 and then regret it when my favorite character arrives later. And that's the biggest lesson I'd take from this update. Don't confuse having Primogems with needing to spend them. You can have 100 wishes saved and still decide to use 0. That's sometimes the smartest decision. So overall, I think version 7.1 is looking really strong. We're getting 2 new 5 stars. Possible Skirk and Escoffier reruns. The 6th anniversary. A large amount of Primogems and Fates. A standard 5-star selector. A free event weapon. New events and story content. Endgame updates. And, of course, the huge rumor about an older limited 5-star and potentially their signature weapon. But remember, that last part is still unconfirmed. Don't build your entire account around something that hasn't been officially announced. For me, the biggest question isn't actually how many Primogems we're getting. It's whether those Primogems should be spent now or saved for what's coming next. Snezhnaya is only getting started. We have Mitya, Valerie, the Tsaritsa, and plenty of other characters coming later. So personally, I'm going to keep watching the beta and official announcements before making my final decision, especially when it comes to Vodyanitsa and the reruns. A few changes could completely change which character I think is worth pulling. But now I want to know what you think. Are you pulling for Vesna, Vodyanitsa, Skirk, or Escoffier? Or are you saving everything for the Tsaritsa? And what do you think about the free limited 5-star and weapon rumor? Do you think it could actually happen? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to Celestia Tales for more Genshin updates and Snezhnaya content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.